Hello, I'm Holly, and I'm talking with Dr. Case today from Brook Falls Veterinary Hospital and Exotic Care. Today, we're going to discuss how you can better understand ferrets, and we'll be talking about frequently asked questions from this unique species, or about this unique species. So, Dr. Case, do ferrets need veterinary care?
Yep. Ferrets, kind of like any other animal, and humans need medical care.
So, like on an annual basis, or
Yeah, we definitely recommend annual kind of wellness visits to check them out, and then once they get older, probably kind of twice a year, just making sure they're healthy.
What kind of animal is a ferret exactly?
So ferrets are mammals, and they're in the weasel family. So they are a type of weasel.
Are ferrets then considered to be rodents?
No, not rodents. Just in the weasel family, different family of animal.
Okay. What's the difference between a weasel and a ferret?
So weasels in the wild, they tend to be smaller, and they have a very distinct kind of white belly with like a brown or tan top. And if they were both in the wild, they would live in different habitats too.
Are ferrets exotic pets, and will I need a permit to own one?
Depending on where you live, you might need a permit to own one. There are some states that require permits or don't allow you to have ferrets as pets. But here in Wisconsin, we're very ferret friendly.
How can I find out if ferrets are legal to own in my state?
Yep, so the American Ferret Association, they have a great website, and they have a comprehensive list of kind of what the state regulations are, listed by state.
Okay, so can I have a baby ferret as a pet?
Yeah, you can get a lot of baby ones from kind of Marshall Farms and things like that.
And how long do ferrets live?
About like 6 to 9 years, I would say. Sometimes you can definitely, they can be a little bit older, a little bit younger, depending on what diseases they have. But that's about 6 to 9 years.
Is it hard to have a pet ferret?
They can be a little bit difficult to care for just because they have very high energy levels, and they're basically true escape artists. So they require a lot of social interaction to kind of keep their energy levels maintained. And may need some help kind of in what type of play is appropriate between them and between you and them and things like that as far as biting. So it can be a little bit more difficult to own a ferret than something else.
So they're like little Houdinis.
They're just little Houdinis, absolutely.
Are ferrets domesticated?
Yep. So the pet ferrets are domesticated.
And where does a ferret live in the house? Do they need to have their own space? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, so definitely their own space. We do recommend having like a ferret enclosure that is literally escape proof because they can get out of anything. I mean, that being said, they should spend plenty of time out of that enclosure interacting with you, running around and things like that, but you really have to make sure that anywhere they are is ferret proof, because if it's not, they will find it and they will tell you.
Surprise!
Yeah.
What is a ferret diet like? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so ferrets are one of the highest levels of obligate carnivores that exist. So they need a really high percent of protein and fat in their diet. Commercially made ferret kibble is recommended. Otherwise, depending on what type of situation you're in the wild, they would eat whole prey.
Wow.
Whole animals.
What do I need for a ferret bed and ferret litter?
Yeah, so for litter, definitely like a low dust formula, like paper pellets or wood stove pellets. And for bedding, they really enjoy kind of soft beds and like the hammocks. A lot of times you'll see, because they'll just snuggle on in there.
What are the different types of ferrets?
Yeah, so the wild ferret is a black-footed ferret. Otherwise, they can be albino, sable, cinnamon, panda, black, white, Angora. There's a bunch of different types.
Lots to choose from.
Yes.
What is a black-footed ferret, and why is it endangered?
Yeah, black-footed ferrets are a wild type of ferret. And unfortunately, they're endangered like a lot of other endangered species because their habitat is disappearing. So they live on the plains and grasslands, and a lot of that is being plowed for crops. So because the habitat is disappearing, they're becoming endangered, unfortunately.
Do ferrets smell?
So ferrets do have a general kind of natural musky odor to them that can be a little bit more than other animals. But if they're properly taken care of and have enough space and everything, they shouldn't necessarily be smelly.
Okay. Are ferrets smart, and can you train them?
Ferrets are very smart, and I absolutely feel like with the right motivation and everything, you could definitely train a ferret.
Perfect. Can ferrets make cats or dogs sick?
Yeah, technically, ferrets can pass some illnesses to cats and dogs, and humans, unfortunately. GI kind of viruses or parasites or kind of some respiratory diseases can kind of be passed on.
What are ferret hairball symptoms?
Yeah, so if a ferret is having a hairball, it could be something as subtle as some lethargy. Otherwise, if they're nauseous, they might be drooly or grind their teeth. They might seem painful in their abdomen and not really be eating.
The hairballs in a ferret, it's a thing.
It's a thing, yeah. Unfortunately, it can be a thing. They can get a hair buildup in their GI system.
Okay, we'll have to keep an eye out. How can I prevent adrenal disease in my ferret?
Yeah, adrenal disease is very common in ferrets and luckily treatable. So the most common way is with an implant. It's called supralorin, and it basically works in the body to decrease the overproduction of sex hormones that's going on, and it's either every 6 months or yearly, just kind of an injection of this implant.
Do ferrets carry diseases?
Yes, I mean, just kind of like all animals, they can carry diseases, and like we kind of mentioned before, it can be spread to some other animals.
So good proper hygiene, washing your hands in between.
Yep, absolutely, y'all. Very important.
Are ferrets hypoallergenic?
So hypoallergenic, I would say, is a strong word, but they definitely have less dander than some other pets, like cats and dogs do. So they might be better suited for someone that does have like a pet dander sensitivity.
Why do ferrets lose their hair on their tails? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, so that usually is kind of one of the classic signs of the adrenal disease that we mentioned earlier. Just with the overproduction of sex hormones, it causes their hair to fall out, and the tail is kind of one of the most common places
that you'd see it 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get my ferret sick, and can my ferret get me sick?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is yes. You can kind of pass diseases to each other, like influenza. The flu can go back and forth between you guys. So keep in kind of proper hygiene, and if you're feeling sick or you notice your ferret feeling sick, just kind of separating yourselves from each other.
Right. How do wellnesses and preventative care impact the overall health and well-being of my ferret?
Yeah, so wellness is definitely preventative care, all very important, especially with ferrets that do have a couple diseases that most of them do get. Preventative care, we can identify it early and make it more treatable.
What are some common conditions that ferrets can experience?
Yeah, so they can have respiratory things like influenza. They can get a couple different GI viruses and bacteria. Giardia, Campylobacter are a couple. They can get salmonella, ringworm. They can have ear infections. They can have skin masses. Insulinoma is a big one. Adrenal disease is a big one. Those are kind of target words for people that know kind of ferret diseases. But a lot of similar things that other pets get, and a couple that they're very specialized with.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. What vaccinations do ferrets need?
Yeah, we definitely recommend rabies and distemper are the two big ones that we recommend. A lot of baby ferrets, if you get them from a breeder, they might be pre-vaccinated, but then we'll continue that series at the vet and make sure it's updated yearly.
Good. What are some signs and symptoms that something might be wrong with my ferret?
Yeah, appetite is a big one. If they're not really eating well, if they're grinding their teeth, if you notice they're losing weight or losing hair, those are big ones. If their breathing changes, vomiting or diarrhea are a lot of the big ones. Mm-hmm.
How soon should I bring my ferret to the vet if they're not eating or drinking, or if their other like normal habits and behavior change? How quickly should I?
Yeah, I would definitely call your veterinarian right away. Depending on kind of how severe the signs are, they'll kind of give you a better timeline, but definitely making it known as soon as possible is important.
How will a veterinarian be able to know if there's something wrong with my ferret?
Yeah, it all starts with a physical examination. So we look at kind of every part of the ferret, eyes, ears, mouth, listen to heart and lungs, feel abdomen, things like that, and kind of go from there if we find certain abnormalities.
Why is it important to avoid self-diagnosing illnesses in my ferret?
Yeah, so kind of like with a lot of different species, if they show a certain sign, it's not absolutely correlated with a disease. So it could indicate a couple different things. So kind of letting the veterinarian take a look at everything and then going based on what they feel is going to be better than just assuming that something is happening.
Why is early detection and diagnosis of illnesses in my ferret so important?
Yeah, early detection is going to lead to better treatment, sometimes more successful treatment of various diseases, depending on when you catch them, can kind of give your ferret a little bit more longevity.
If you have questions regarding your pet ferret, please give us a call. We're always here for you. Thank you, Dr. Case.
Yes, you're welcome.